What's up, guys? It's me, Noralo Bomber. Today I have a special little video. I've been meaning to talk about this for about a couple weeks now. I wanted to discuss how I think the battles in Kingdom Hearts 3 are going to play out in the Keyblade War. Now, of course, I know the whole thing is going to end with Sora battling Xehanort, but you know, when the war starts, you know, things are going to get split up, and you know, the Guardians of Light, they're going to end up fighting individual people. So as you can see, here is my little thing that sort of draws out everything, and this is my list for the 13 Seekers of Darkness and 7 Guardians of Light. So even though not all the Seekers of Darkness were confirmed, pretty sure, but just going off assumptions and just some evidence, this is what I think. So of course you have Master Xehanort, then you have Young Xehanort, you have Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, you have Xemnas, you have Xigbar, you have Sayax, you have Ventus, because if Xehanort has possessed Aqua, he basically now has access to Ventus. You have Marluxia, you have Vanitas, you have Larxene, you have Luxord, you have, of course, Aqua, and then you have Terra Xehanort. So those are my that is the 13 Seekers of Darkness that I'm thinking is going to be in Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, basically, most of them have been confirmed, with the exception of Terra Xehanort, Ventus, and Aqua, and Terra Xehanort is sort of hinted at. So mainly Ventus and Aqua, but considering we all know that Aqua is now Norded, you know, it's sort of safe to say that. And then here are my Guardians of Light. You have Sora, of course, Riku, of course, Kyrie, obviously, Mickey, obviously, Lee, obviously, and the last two I put as Roxas and Shion. Now, it was hinted that Roxas will be coming back in Kingdom Hearts 3. It's heavily implied. So I was thinking, well, if Roxas is going to come back, then he's probably going to fight for the Guardians of Light, because there's no way he would side against Lee or work with Xemnas, or even let his best friend Lee or Axel do some fighting, risking his own life, while Roxas just sits there in Twilight Town twiddling his thumbs. And for the last one, I put Shion. Now, I'm thinking Shion will come back, because it was hinted, like, you know, throughout the whole Reconnect Kingdom Hearts thing, that Shion will return, along with showing Naminé and Roxas and Axel and Terravan and Aqua, you know. So I feel like she's gonna come back, and of course she's gonna want to side with their best friends. And so as you can see in this little diagram thing, I sort of split everything in color so it's easier to see who I think is going to be facing who. Now, for gold, we have Sora. For light blue, Riku. For royal blue, we have Kyrie. Yellow, Mickey. Gray, Roxas. Red, Lee. Black, Shion. So as you can see in here, I'm just gonna go with starting from the right to the left, or I should say I'll start with the Sea Salt Trio, then the Destiny Trio, and then Mickey. So for the Sea Salt Trio, let's first talk about Shion. So it was kind of weird to think about who she would possibly fight against, since Shion has only had interactions with certain members of the Seeker of Darkness, specifically Xemnas, Xigbar and Sayax. She really didn't have any interactions with Luxord or Marluxia or Larxene. Vanitas didn't exist, or I should say, faded from existence, you know, about 10 years prior. Young Xehanort wasn't in the picture. Ansem was getting killed by Sora by the time Shion was born. And Master Xehanort was out of the picture at that point. So, but I thought that the best course of action for Shion would be pitting her up against Vanitas, like, because everybody in the Guardians of Light is going to be facing two people with the exception of one person. So for Shion, she's going to be facing Vanitas and young Xehanort. Now, the reason I put Vanitas with Shion was because I felt like they could possibly relate. They were both made from the essence of other people. Not to mention they're both pretty much the black-haired version of whoever their original is. Or I won't really say original, but still, like a black-haired Kyrie and a black-haired Sora. Come on, you gotta put that together. And for young Xehanort, I feel like I had a legitimate connection that I just drew when I put Shion against young Xehanort, but I honestly can't remember it now. But I think there might be some interesting interactions between them. So that's pretty much it when it comes to Shion. Next up is Lee, and I pit him against Sayax and Marluxia. Now, him going against Sayax is pretty obvious. They were best friends in Radiant Garden back when they were somebodies, and they even plotted to take over the organization when they first joined and after they became nobodies. But then they sort of drifted apart. Sayax was trying to side more so with Xemnas, and Lee was trying to side more with Roxas and Sora. So, and you know, now that Lee knows that his former best friend is part of the Seekers of Darkness, I feel like it's kind of obvious to pit them against each other. Now, the reason why I put Lee against Marluxia is because they never got to finish their fight in Chain of Memories. Now, if you guys remember, back in Chain of Memories, Axel worked as a double agent for the organization. He tricked Marluxia and Larxene into thinking that he was siding with them to take over the organization, but it turns out he was sent by Xemnas and Sayax to eliminate all traitors, and they did have a little fight. It was interrupted by Sora, so they never really got their chance to finish what they started. Now we're going on to Roxas, and Roxas, I had a hard time trying to figure out who he would fight against, because, you know, he's had interactions with a lot of people on this list. Or I should say, not a lot of people, but he's interacted with Xemnas, with Xigbar, with Sayax. He's had small interactions with Larxene and Marluxia and Luxord. So you sort of have that, but I originally had Roxas go up against Xemnas, but that got changed. So instead, I put Roxas versus Xigbar and Luxord. So the reason why I decided not to put Roxas up against Xemnas, and honestly, this is like one of those wild card ones where, you know, we'll get into this later, so I'll explain this later. But for now, Xigbar definitely sort of acted like a little extra guide for Roxas during his time in the organization, but now Roxas kind of hates Xigbar, and you know, Luxord was incredibly loyal to the organization, and you know, they're probably both going to try and take him down, because they probably still see him as some sort of traitor to the organization. So that's sort of why I did that. And you know, the other former members of the organization, they would make more sense to have them pitted against each other with other people. So yeah, going to the Destiny trio, we're gonna start off with Kyrie. So Kyrie, I pit her up against Aquanort and Larxene. So I'm going to be talking about the odd one first, Larxene. Now, I'm pitting Kyrie against Larxene because I feel like it would serve as some interesting moments, because Larxene was the one who antagonized Naminé while she was captured by the organization the most in Chain of Memories, and to see her original self Kyrie fighting, not to mention Larxene really messed with Sora a lot, so she messed with Sora and Naminé a lot, so I just feel like that would give Kyrie some reason to try and take this woman down, take this fucking savage nymph down, and I really couldn't see Larxene fighting anybody else, honestly. And then going to the obvious one, Kyrie against Aqua. So you're gonna see this with the Destiny Trio, but I'm gonna have all of them face who their predecessors are. So it would make sense for Kyrie to go up against Aqua, because it's like, you protected me, you gave me this charm, but now you're one of them. I gotta take you down. And so I just feel like that would make a whole lot of sense. Now going on to Sora, I have him pitted up against Xemnas and Ventus. So I was starting to get into this with Roxas, but Sora going up against Xemnas, it can honestly go either way. Like, you could have Roxas fighting Xemnas and Sora fighting Xigbar, but for this list I decided that Sora should be going up against Xemnas, since that's sort of his main, I won't say rival, but main enemy in the organization. I know Xehanort is supposed to be the main enemy, but you know, when you look at Riku, whose main enemy is Ansem, and because of the interaction they had, the interaction that Sora had with Xemnas, it's sort of the same parallel thing. So yeah, so that's why I put Sora up against Xemnas. But again, it can very easily switch up, and with Roxas. And of course, I put Sora up against Ventus because that's his predecessor, and I just feel like, you know, it would make a whole lot of sense, because I can't see Ventus fighting anyone else on the. I mean, of course, I can see him fighting, you know, Mickey or Lee, or maybe even Roxas for a cool little interaction, but Sora makes the most sense, in my opinion. Now, going on to Riku, I have him pitted against two people, which it should be the most obvious. Riku going up against Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, because of all of their past interactions. I don't really have to say much there. And of course, Riku going up against Terra Xehanort, because that was his predecessor, and again, cool interactions. I think it just makes the most sense. So I don't really have to say much there. Now we're going on to Mickey, and Mickey is the only person who only faces one person, and that would be Master Xehanort, both the leaders of their respective groups, and Xehanort's actions directly influenced all of Mickey's friends and gave him personal hell. So Mickey going up against Master Xehanort makes, you know, a whole lot of sense. So that's really it, guys. I want to know what you guys think about this list. Who do you think is going to face off against who in the Keyblade Graveyard during the Keyblade War? So hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys are comment, subscribe. Hope you guys sponsor my channel. This has been Noir Low Bomber, and I'm out.